Hello, welcome back. We've got some good news and bad news out of the state of Virginia. We'll start with the good news first. In a refreshing move, a Virginia judge overturned Democratic Party Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger's law that effectively banned gun ownership in Virginia. But as you'll recall, this isn't the only crazy thing that the new Democratic government of Virginia is doing. You'll remember earlier this week, we sat down with Noah Coffin about a sex scandal that is rocking Virginia's public school system in Albemarle County, Virginia. Watch.
We've seen community meetings. We've seen school board meetings where parents are coming demanding answers. Of course, it's their children. And the school board, despite having 6 months to prepare, is unable to provide any answers. Recently, we've seen the superintendent who oversaw this whole entire situation, Matt Hawes, forced to resign. But quite unfortunately, he resigned with a very special golden parachute, getting to keep his severance package of well over $200,000 of pay for the next school year, despite his mishandling of this case and leaving many parents completely in the dark when it comes to the safety of their children.
Well, maladministration comes with a nice reward. Joining us now for more on this story and what else is going on out of Virginia is Rob Schilling of the Rob Schilling Show. He is the go-to conservative radio host in Albemarle County, Virginia. So, look, I know, Rob, you're the guy. If there's something that's going on that they know that Democrat journalists, quote unquote journalists in the area, in Virginia in general, are not going to cover, they come to you. So what is going on with this story? It's extremely concerning. Not only did the school board know about this, they just didn't inform parents. There's a question as to what they knew when they hired these sex offenders, these child predators. How deep does this go in Albemarle County?
This goes back a ways, Emerald, and thank you for inviting me to join you today. This goes back a good ways, 7 or 8 years, when there was what I would call a deflowering video shown in the 9th grade girls' PE class with one male teacher and a bunch of 9th grade girls. It was an extremely sexually explicit video that we covered, and no local coverage for several weeks. It broke into an international story. But this is what happens here. We break stories like this, and they've been known about for a good long time. And then the local media ignores it. People like you who are paying attention to what's going on, important stories that affect everybody in the country, pick these things up. So this goes back a ways. The other thing this guy did, which a lot of people don't know, we're talking about the superintendent, Matt Hawes, EDD. Matt Hawes sent out an email some years ago telling all the teachers in his division that one of his favorite books was Rules for Radicals, and if they wanted a free copy that they could see him. So we know where this guy's coming from.
Yeah, you're right. We know where this guy is coming from, and in some of these schools, like we've seen in Fairfax County, they're actively protecting these predators. And it goes back. Remember when parents were so outraged over the books, the pornographic books that were in school, and people were saying, "Oh, it's just books." Some of the administration, it's just books. It's freedom of reading whatever you want to read. This proves that it's more than just the books. How many victims are there that are known at this point in Albemarle County?
Emerald, there are 11 known victims, and I would imagine through investigation, this is going to get much larger. There have been incidents going back to 2024. So I'm just guessing that we've only scratched the surface of what's going on here. And I have joined other people in calling for an independent investigation. I don't think we can trust the school board. I don't think we can trust the interim superintendent. I don't think we can trust the board of supervisors here in Albemarle County. We need to have somebody coming in from the outside to take a look at this who's unbiased.
Okay, so that's a great point to bring up. Just to clarify, you're saying as of right now, the only investigation that is underway is by, well, it's kind of the people who are responsible for all of this investigating themselves, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, they haven't committed to anything else. And I've been talking about on this program that there needs to be an independent investigation and not Tim Hafey, who they love to call for these investigations. Somebody who's real, who's going to do a real job here. And then I do understand through back channels that there may be some other investigations going on, which I don't want to disclose right now, but from a very serious perspective and high places. So I'll leave it at that and let people imagine what that might be.
Now, how many, remind me, how many perpetrators were there at this point? There were 2 predators that have been identified thus far. Do we think there are more working in the school system?
Yeah, this is a very good question. And there have been sex scandals over the years here and strange things going on in these schools. There's one guy with the 11 counts, which are directly involving sexual contact with children. The other guy had child porn on his phone, and I don't know how far that goes beyond that. We haven't found out yet. But I would imagine, because we have a school division that's what I would call hypersexualized and focusing from a very young age, like kindergarten on up, on inappropriate sexual topics with children, that this is who you're attracting. I say to the superintendent, who did you think was going to come teach in these schools that are talking to kids about sex all the time? Who wants to do that? And who is attracted to that? So I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody if you just apply logic to the situation, Emerald. You should never be focusing on these things at young ages, and it's attracting strange and evil people to work for you.
Yeah, I've actually walked into a couple of public schools in Albemarle County, and they were middle schools. They weren't even the high schools, and I was surprised. This was a couple of years ago. I was surprised at the bathrooms, because I'm not really around that kind of stuff. The what is it they call them, the unisex bathrooms, and they put up signs to cover up the boys and girls signs. There's all of this pride propaganda all over the schools. Just every corner there was something about pride or inclusivity, the LGBTQ plus IA, whatever it is these days, agenda. And I know Albemarle County to a certain degree, it is a left-leaning county. There's a lot of parents who are supportive of the inclusivity and diversity agenda. Okay. But does their ideology go so far as to not be concerned about predators in school? What kind of outrage is this sparking amongst parents in the community, if they even know about it?
Well, a certain amount are just tuned out, and they're not paying attention carefully. They held a town hall meeting, and I don't think it was as well attended as it should have been. But be that as it may, there are people who are very upset and concerned, and these are people who have not previously lifted up their head or raised a flag about any of the previous issues. So I've been contacted offline by people who I'm pretty sure are diametrically opposed to me politically, but know that I'm a safe and trusted source for information. And these people probably are to the left of center at least, but they're fed up and they've had it. And I've used the analogy, Emerald, before, like if you get a really nice car, a lot of the people will take it to a nice restaurant and they don't want the valet touching it. They don't want any door dings. And yet they're turning their kids over to these government schools, which are known to be infested with this Marxist dogma and hypersexualization. Why would you do that to your kids? Why would you take the chance? I think parents are starting to wake the hell up.
I certainly hope so. I hope it doesn't take their child being the victim to wake up. You don't want that for anybody.
Yeah. I mean, what else? How much further could we go to get somebody's attention here than children actually being sexually assaulted allegedly in Albemarle County government schools? I mean, what do we need?
Okay. Well, I think in this case, we certainly need an independent investigation, as you noted. Yeah. I hope that push is successful, because we know from many other situations that investigators investigating themselves does no good, or using their preferred investigators will get you nowhere. So that we will keep our eye on this. As you said, I mean, it's Albemarle County. We've seen this in Fairfax County too, and we've reported about that on this show. Fairfax County, Virginia. So it's these, blue areas of Virginia. But this has national implications, because look, folks, it's not just happening in Virginia. This is happening in schools across the country, especially in Democrat areas where they promote this ideology and they want to sexualize your children starting in kindergarten. There's probably some bad people who are taking advantage of that. So this has national interest, and we'll continue to follow this. And I want to know if they do open an independent investigation. But just looking at Virginia at large, you're very tuned into everything that's happening. Everyone knows I live in Virginia. Since Spanberger took over, we were a little bit concerned that they would move fast and hard. Now, in a lot of areas, her efforts have been thwarted. They've been shot down, as I noted, the most recent judicial decision related to the gun ban. I am hearing, though, and you can confirm to me if this is true or not, that some of the gun sellers are already stopping doing background checks. That it's hard to get background checks in Virginia already completed for guns, because they're already kind of complying with Spanberger's agenda. That's just what I heard. That's hearsay. But it does seem to me, Rob, that Spanberger hasn't been able to move as fast as we had originally thought she would, or Is it that the Democrat Party at the national level wants her to sort of remain under wraps for a little bit after the midterms, and then we'll see Virginia after November?
So I fled from California back in the early 2000s, late 90s to come here to a safe place. And it was a safe place at the time, even though it was mostly Democrats. They were the reasonable kind of Democrats, which don't exist anymore. I think the game that's going on with Spanberger is that they're trying to keep her under wraps a little bit because she had a full General Assembly, which was willing and passed all of these radical laws that they've been just chomping at the bit to get through. And Youngkin was the blockade over the course of the past 4 years. So it was all there for her to take and to accept. And she kind of pushed back on some of it, which might have surprised some people, but I don't think it was sincere. I think she agrees with the agenda, but she has higher aspirations. I think she'd like to be up for president perhaps in 2028. So she's taking it easy. And I think the Democrats at least are smart enough to know they could sacrifice a couple years in Virginia of the extreme agenda that they have just to protect the candidate for a future, perhaps general election.
That's the sense I have as well. I have forgotten that you had fled from California. We're a bunch of, I used to live in California. My husband is born and raised Los Angeles. So we understand what a Virginia would be like probably more than anyone else. I think she does have aspirations for 2028. I'm hearing she's thinking, speaking of California, that she could possibly be a running mate for Gavin Newsom. You think that's a possibility there, Rob?
I think it's a possibility, but what a total disaster for America if that should ever come to pass. And it's such a shame, you know, when you think about places that were nice like California and like Virginia, how quickly they can go downhill. That's a lesson for everybody that we need to fortify right now. And wherever you are, whatever state you're in, you need to get with like-minded people and prevent this from happening because it's happened. I saw it in California. It used to be a really safe conservative place until about 1998. And Virginia tumbled in the last 25 years to a very dangerous place for anybody who loves liberty.
Absolutely. That's why community is so important. And even if you're in a blue area, you can affect change if you just get together and create a community. Rob Schilling, it's good to catch up with you. We have to do this because you are on, I'll just go ahead and let people know this is a pre-tape segment because Rob is live at the very same time every single day on the radio. Noon to 2, you get 2 hours of Rob. So we feel very pleased to have him with us for you taking the time out from your busy schedule. And you can catch Rob, if you're not in the Virginia area, you can go to the shillingshow.com, right? Shillingshow.com. And keep up with Rob.
Yes, absolutely. Emerald, it's always a pleasure. I really appreciate you inviting us.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll keep you in the audience abreast of any developments in this Albemarle County story because it is massive. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.